Okay, so when I was 7 years old, I had an experience where I left my body and I was visiting a restaurant with my parents, getting some ice cream, and I ran outside to play in the little play area that they had. And I was in this little tower that they had outside, and I must have gotten brain freeze or something. I don't know, but I passed out and I remember hovering up above my body and looking down. I could see myself and laying there and kind of was like, what's going on? What is this? And I thought, well, this must be something that happens and I'm just not aware of it. Like it's never happened to me before. And I decided to go float where my parents were inside the restaurant. And I said, oh, I better go tell my parents. So I floated and I went up above the restaurant and I could look down into the restaurant and I could see exactly where they were sitting. I could hear their conversation. And I heard my mom at that exact moment ask my brother where I was. And my brother told her she's outside playing. And my mom said, okay. And I said to myself, I better go back to my body because they're going to come looking for me. So I decided to float back over to my body, or however that happened. I just kind of floated back over. And as I was hovering up over my body again, I was kind of like, you can you see everything, there's nothing that you can't see. But specifically, I saw these two ladies that were kind of up where I was, and they were, I think, angels. They were not dressed, they didn't have wings, but they had like white flowy gowns. And one was an older one was a younger one. They were talking amongst themselves, and I saw them and they were looking at me, but they didn't say anything to me. And the next thing I know, I am back in my body and I wake up to freezing ice cream melting on my arm. And a young boy literally standing in front of me with his just mouth wide open in shock. I don't know what he witnessed or saw, but he was surprised. And I kind of just got up, took what was left of my ice cream and went inside and told my mom specifically what had happened. And I explained to her exactly what I heard, the conversation, and she did validate that conversation. So, but she didn't have an explanation for me. So I never really understood what happened until obviously I got much older.
It started off innocently. I was scheduled to have open heart surgery done. I had my valve and I had a bypass done. My kid said the surgery went very well, but afterwards, everything started falling apart. My organs started shutting down. My lungs were collapsing. I went sepsis. I had pneumonia. I was on dialysis. And I was on a ventilator and trachea. They put me into an induced coma so they could try to work on me without me, having to deal with all of the other stuff. I was in the coma for 3 months. While in the coma, God spoke to me. And he asked me if I was sure that was what I wanted. So I assume I must have been thinking I wanted to go. But I paused and I said, if it's my time, I get it. But if not, please take this. And I don't know the time difference from when that happened and when I woke up. But when I did wake up, my daughter explained, because I thought I still had to have the surgery. I don't remember anything prior to the surgery. Nothing. And my daughter, I told her, I said, now I still have to have the surgery. She said, no, Mom, you already had it. I said, oh, okay. Somehow I lost my voice. Of course, I couldn't walk because being in a coma for 3 months, your muscles aren't working. So I was unable to walk or talk. When I got home, I realized everything had changed. Everything that I was familiar with had completely changed. I look at the world now in different eyes. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I don't see, like, if I look outside my window, I don't just see trees and grass and birds and flowers. It's like I'm walking in like a little cave like thing. I really don't know how to put it into words. But one of the other things that I noticed is my love for Christ just exploded. My main purpose at that point was to make sure that I got God's word out. This is what happened. For years, I felt like I was supposed to be doing something, and I could never figure it out. After my coma, it came to me that I need to get a message out to people. This world is not what people think it is. Not at all. It's there is definitely a spirit world. And I've talked to other NDEs, and they've also said the same thing. Also, when you have an NDE, it doesn't leave you. In your mind, it's always there. You know this happened. And how blessed, how fortunate you are. This is a miracle. Anyone that has had an NDE, it is a total miracle. My doctors had given up completely on me. My family, they were preparing for me to go. But it's obvious God wasn't ready for me. I have thought quite often, if I had responded differently when God asked me if that was what I wanted, if I had said yes, I just feel that I wouldn't be here. I would not be here. I would have already gone to heaven.
I was 13 and I was taking swimming lessons at the Y. And my instructor wanted me to dive headfirst in the 10-foot section of the pool. And I just couldn't do it. There was something in me that was just, I can't do this. So I sat back and I watched all the other kids, and they were diving in and coming out, and they were fine. But when it came to my turn, I couldn't. And my instructor said, "You're going to do this dive or I'm going to throw you in." And the next thing I know, he grabs me around the waist and he throws me in the water. And I was struggling. I was shocked that he did it, but I kept going down, and then I would come back up, and I'd go down and I'd come back up, and I was taking in all this water. And it seemed like forever, but it was probably only just a minute or two. And then I'm sinking to the bottom of the pool. And so I'm laying on the bottom of a 10 feet of water on top of me. And I could hear people screaming. So I was out of my body at that time, because I could see all the way around the pool without moving. And I saw my mom's face. She was over on the other section, clear across the room, up in the balcony where the parents sat. And I heard the lifeguard teacher that was taking care of the little babies, and I heard her scream at my teacher. She said, "Bob, go in and get her." And then I saw his face, and he was like frozen. He just couldn't move. And so I'm listening, I'm watching. All of the children were panicking, the teachers were screaming, my mother, I could see her face like it was right here, right in front of me. And she had this horrified look on her face. And all the while this was going on, I looked up and I saw this. At first, I thought it was a light bulb, and I thought, what's a light bulb doing in a pool? That's not very safe. And then the light kept getting bigger and brighter, but it was warm, and I felt cozy in the water. I didn't feel cold, and I wasn't scared, and I wasn't hurting. Now, when I first went in the water, there was absolute sheer panic. I thought, what did you just do? But by this time, I felt no fear, nothing. So I'm laying in the water, and I can see this light, and I can see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't know if I was going up to it or it was coming down to me, but it was like this close to my face. And then all of a sudden I heard what sounded like a metal door slamming, and it echoed. And then I could feel all this pain, and I'm throwing up water, and they're doing CPR. And what had happened was the lifeguard that was across from us, that had the middle-aged kids, he jumped in and he came and he got me out and was doing CPR and got me out of the pool, got me breathing again. And then the next thing I know, I could see my mom's face, and she's next to me. She's right there next to me. And then all these kids were surrounding me. So when I looked over, all I could see were all these legs and feet, But that was the first experience. But my mom and I never talked about it. I had no idea what that light was or what had happened to me, or I think that she was just so afraid. It was terrifying for her. And so we just never talked about it.
I can imagine. Yeah. And did you feel like you were always in the water during the entire experience, or did it feel as at that one point you were just sort of suspended in nothingness?
I felt I was in the water, but I was away from my body, if that makes sense. I wasn't that little girl that was stuck on the bottom of the pool. I was kind of either next to her or floating around or something, because I could see 360 degrees. I could see everything that was going on. I could hear it all. And I'm not sure whether people can hear that kind of detailed stuff under 10 feet of water. I don't know. I don't get in the water anymore. So.
Imagine. Yeah. Wow. And whatever happened with the lifeguard that was pushing you, or the instructor who pushed you into the water? Did you guys ever discuss that afterwards?
No, I still remember his name, and I never went back. I'm assuming he got fired. I mean, because everybody was yelling at him. And he didn't come in to save me, and he should have.
Yeah, thank God you got out of that one.